fall on you as a leader of the various communities you come from to keep on leading them and advising them to live peacefully.
State's commitment to end recurring violence conflict between farmers and herders.
Federal government opts for negotiations to free Chibok and Dapchi schoolgirls.
Vice President urges banks to impact on lives of Nigerians with single-digit loans, not by declaring huge profits.
He provides in the budget 500 billion and of course a more aggressive financial inclusion strategy.
On Good Morning Nigeria today, we'll be discussing the trouble with the Peace Corps bill.
Well, for some time now, it has been a kind of cat and mouse game between the Peace Corps of Nigeria and the Nigerian Police Force since the commandant of the Corps and 49 others were arrested after a joint operation of the Police Departments of Security Services and the Army in February 2017. That was February last year.
That's right. You know, one can say that virtually everything about the Peace Corps has been controversial. Now, the Peace Corps issue has, of course, dominated national discourse lately, especially since President Muhammadu Buhari withdrew accent to the Nigeria Peace Corps Establishment Bill. The president cited security and financial reasons for rejecting the bill.
Well, you can say that again, Kingsley, because the Peace Corps has had a checkered history since it was first introduced more than 2 decades ago.
That's right. Now, after a series of attempts, the Corps convinced the National Assembly to pass the bill establishing it to transit from a non-governmental organization to the government-funded paramilitary outfit. Now, the Corps also recorded successes at the courts over its impasse with the police. The morale, obviously, was sky high as they awaited presidential assent to the bill, but that didn't happen.
Well, just as you said, that celebration was short-lived. However, the withdrawal of the accent by President Muhammadu Buhari was on security and financial grants and has generated another round of debate on the desirability or otherwise of a national Peace Corps.
Now, there are even suggestions that the National Assembly should veto the President's rejection of the bill and therefore make the bill law. Now, that's a development that, if it were to happen, will be only one of the exceptions since the return to democratic governance that such a constitutional action will occur. That's to say, overriding the President's veto.
But the truth is, whatever the situation is, the Peace Corps in general and the bill in particular is not going peacefully. Now, before the President withdrew his accent, now there were allegations that the Peace Corps was already enmeshed, allegations of course enmeshed in corruption and illegality by extorting unemployed youth in anticipation of the enactment of the law. And that they were also said to have been training in arms bearing and several other allegations, Rhoda. And of course, the proponents of the Corps, however, say that establishing the Corps will not only complement the existing security architecture, but also reduce unemployment as thousands of members and new recruits will be gainfully employed, thereby addressing one of the causes of restiveness, crimes, and even insurgency. Now that is the Peace Corps what Nigeria needs at the moment. Now we'll strengthen the police, national security and civil defense corps. That's what is referred to as the civil defense and other paramilitary agencies who are not well funded. Would that be the better way to go rather than floating another agency? What will the Peace Corps bring to the security table, assuming the National Assembly took the step of overriding the President's veto? And why is the Peace Corps facing such a huge opposition
from different quarters. Now, must the Peace Corps be funded by government to enable it carry out its objectives?
Well, lots and lots of questions, Kingsley, you have raised here. And, you know, for a lot of people, this has been a debate that has been on for quite some time now. The bill has actually faced a lot of opposition. And, you know, for some people, the question is, why duplicate? Why are we having multiple, you know, security apparatus,
that's right,
you know, when we can, we've not been able to fund that, which we have. For some people, well...
Make them much more efficient.
Yeah, make them much more efficient. For some people, we need it. We aside, you know, being the issue of employment, for some people they feel that it will improve on our security.
Well, there are persons who are also arguing if you want to generate jobs, then get the factories running.
Well, these are some of the questions we'll be begging for answers this morning on Good Morning Nigeria Today. I'm Rhoda Anonam, welcoming you to the program, and we're reaching you live on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority, the NTA.
And I joined Rhoda in also welcoming you to the program, in the course of which we shall have our regular companion segments, and these are newspaper review, business, sports, and others. My name is Kingsley Osadolo, and I welcome Laurie Bala Hassan as our guide for the morning news. Hi, Laurie.
Hi, Kingsley and Rhoda. Good morning and a warm welcome to the news. President Muhammadu Buhari has reassured Nigerians that his administration will not abdicate its responsibility in protecting their lives and property across the country. Addressing the people of Benue State at a town hall meeting during a fact-finding visit, the president restated the federal government's resolve to bring to an end the recurring violent conflicts between farmers and herders.
Here is a question of you in your various constituencies to apply restraint. Myself and the governor and some of you who hold in public office will go. But the relationship between cattle herders and the farmers in Benue State will continue beyond us as it was before us. This is the reality of the situation.
And the federal government says it has chosen negotiation rather than military option in rescuing the abducted schoolgirls from Chibok and Dapchi because Nigerians want them back alive. President Muhammadu Buhari made this known while exchanging views with the U.S. Secretary of State, Rex Tillerson.
President Buhari's work has resonated across the continent with his recent recognition as the African Union's anti-corruption champion. We continue to encourage the Nigerian government to work with civic and community leaders to create a durable social, economic, and political infrastructure that supports lasting peace and development for the decades to come.
The role of the banking sector in the promotion of the nation's economy, especially in the federal government's programs on the diversification of the economy, came to the fore at the presentation of a book titled Banking Reform in Nigeria, The Law, the Prospects and the Challenges. Vice President Yemi Oshinbajo at the occasion says the only way the banks in Nigeria could make significant impact in the lives of the citizenry is providing single-digit loans to micro, small and medium enterprises and not by declaring huge profit at the end of every financial year.
And the truth is that the way banking business has been designed, there is little room for financial inclusion. There's little room for those who cannot afford to pay the kinds of charges that banks have to make. Let me quickly add that this is not necessarily the fault of the banks alone. We run an economic system that essentially favors the strong and excludes the weak.
Nigeria and Tunisia are making good their commitment to deepening bilateral ties, particularly in the area of economic diplomacy. Nigeria's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Geoffrey Onyama, and his Tunisian counterpart have been talking about this development at the first Nigerian-Tunisian Business Forum holding in Abuja.
To do our utmost to make our people reap the economic benefits of our excellent political relationship.
We will now, as a practice, begin to go with more and more of you so that we can really expand our horizons as far as trade is concerned.
The establishment of the National Electoral Offences Commission as an independent body that will deal exclusively with prosecution of electoral offenders has been advocated. This was the consensus at a public hearing convened by the Joint Senate Committee on INEC and Judiciary, Human Rights and Legal Matters.
Over the years, statistics shows that various offences and crime orchestrated by numerous politicians has cast shadows over the electoral process.
The INEC cannot be a complainant and a prosecutor.
Consideration and passage of this bill, in a sense, is long overdue.
As Nigeria joins 52 other member countries to celebrate the 2018 Commonwealth Day, the federal government says it remains committed to developing and strengthening its human capital by institutionalizing early childhood care and education.
Quality education goes beyond teaching methods and learning outcomes.
Our two ministries need to collaborate to encourage sports-based scholarship.
In a changing world, to remain relevant to the aspiration of its citizens, the Commonwealth needs to change too.
Though states remain the key actors in the fight against terrorism, the growing pressure for heightened international cooperation has become critical to the development of effective anti-terrorist measures. This was brought to the fore by the former commander of the Sri Lankan Navy at a lecture to the Block 7 course 26 participants of the National Defense College.
We are fighting a fourth generation war against non-state actors. So the conventional warfighter or the state military itself has to start rewriting its doctrine to cater to the new form of war.
And that's the news for now. Good Morning Nigeria continues with Rhoda and Kingsley after this break. Good morning.
Unemployment, notably youth unemployment, features strongly in our party's manifesto. We intend to attack the problem frontally through revival of agriculture.
The 30K is going a long way. Actually, I bought an acre of land for 60K like 2012, and presently I have a cassava farm and a yam farm.
Reorganized, trained, and fully equipped, we are the new improved Nigeria Police Force. We fight crime, we bust syndicates. Whatever the crime, wherever the hideout, the Nigeria Police Force will get you busted. Stop kidnapping, armed robbery, murder, pipeline vandalism and other criminal activities. Be productive, be security conscious. Join the police force to secure your life and property. This message is from the Nigeria Police Force Public Relations Department.
3,346 medals are up for grabs at the first National Grassroots Sports Festival, Sports for All, to discover sports talent, develop future world champions, and rejuvenate sports in Nigeria. Date 19th to 29th of April 2018. Venue, National Stadium Abuja, packages A and B. This is an opportunity for state governors to promote their achievements and for companies to promote their brand with 24 individual and team spots. For broadcast sponsorship, contact Angelo Peter I. Elosia, Chairman and Chief Coordinator, or Nick Onyisi. Organizers, Grassroots International Sports Academy and LOP Worldwide Television. Endorsed by the Federal Ministry of Youth and Sport Development. Broadcast partner, NTA, the largest television network in Africa.
The Nigerian Police Force has commenced the disarmament and recovery of prohibited firearms, ammunition and weapons in possession of all suspected militias, armed herdsmen and farmers, bandits, vigilante groups, neighborhood watch and other groups, individuals or bodies. The range of firearms include artillery, apparatus for the discharge of any explosives of gas-diffusing projectile, rocket weapons, bombs and grenades, machine guns and machine pistols, all kinds of military rifles, revolvers and pistols, whether rifled or unrifled, all categories of pump-action guns and any other firearm or lethal weapon fabricated to kill. Members of the public are hereby warned and given 21 days starting from the 22nd of February 2018 to surrender them to the Commissioner of Police in the state they are domiciled. Members of the public who notice anyone bearing, possessing or in custody of any kind of firearm should report such to the DIG operations and others listed below. This message is from the Force Public Relations Department.
All right, welcome back. But if you just tuned in, it's Good Morning Nigeria, and we're live on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. Now it's time for us to talk business, and our correspondent, Comfort Amodu, tells us about the latest efforts by the Central Bank of Nigeria to mop up liquidity.
Welcome to the business news. Nigeria's external reserve, which stood at $46 billion as at the close of business last week. According to the Central Bank of Nigeria, the reserve grew by $3.2 billion between February and March 2018. The reserves, which stood at $39.3 billion at the beginning of the year, rose to $42.8 billion in February before hitting the new rate of $46 billion. The CBN Acting Director Corporate Communications Department, Isaac Okorafor, who said CBN is poised to discourage unnecessary importation and reduction in the nation's import bill inflow from oil and non-oil exports, disclosed that the huge inflows through the investors and exporters window of the foreign exchange market attracted over $33 billion April last year. At the close of commodity trading last week, Brent crude sold at $65.49 a barrel, up by 2.54%. Meanwhile, liquidity at the Nigerian money market has remained robust despite a mop-up of 460.64 billion naira from the market through the Central Bank of Nigeria's open market operation, as foreign exchange inflows through the investor and exporters window decline. Our total turnover in the investors and exporters forex window dropped sharply by 60.97% to $539.90 million, with the bulk of trade still within the 360 naira and 369 naira to the dollar band. While the value of the naira to the dollar at the parallel market appreciated, it weakened the investors and exporters window, selling at 360.32 naira to the dollar at the close of business last week. Outflow from the interbank money market last week also cost of funds rose slightly by 110 basis points compared to the previous week. Up next is a summary of trading figures on the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange. Moving on, the Nigerian government has initiated trade agreement with Tunisians to promote trade and marketing of products at the international level. In view of that, Tunisian Minister of Foreign Affairs led a business delegation to Nigeria to chart a course to the economic growth of both countries. This was at the Nigerian-Tunisian Business Forum held in Abuja.
We agreed to do our utmost to make our people reap the economic benefits of our excellent political relationship.
Still talking trade, the new excise duty regimes were spread over a 3-year period from 2018 to 2020 in order to moderate the impact on prices of the products. The new excise duty regimes followed an all-inclusive stakeholder engagement by the Tariff Technical Committee of the Federal Ministry of Finance with key industry stakeholders. That's it on Business News. I'm Comfort Amadou. Do stay tuned for more on Good Morning Nigeria.
Thank you very much, Comfort Amadou, for the business news there. It's time now for us to review the papers that we have this morning.
Right, our newspaper reviewer Bayo Atoyobe is right here with us in the studios for today's review session. Bayo, morning and welcome.
Thank you. Good morning, Kinsley. Good morning, Rhoda.
Good morning, Bayo.
Good morning, Nigeria.
All right, let's begin with the papers that I have with us, and well, just to say that, Kingsley, the stories trending on I think almost all the dailies, just two stories first of all, and that's the president's visit to Benue yesterday, and of course when he received Rex Tillerson, United States Secretary of State. Those are the picture stories on almost all of the dailies this morning. But then let's begin with the Daily Sun. On the Daily Sun, the lead story this morning, it says, Inspector General of Police disobeyed me, says Buhari. Inspector General of Police disobeyed me. With the two riders there, it says, silent on punishment, explains why government is negotiating Dapchi girls' release. Support anti-open grazing law to achieve, urges president, and Nigerians reacts. But just above that, you see relocation order over Benue killings. Inspector General of Police disobeyed me. That's the lead story on the Daily Sun. On the Daily Independent, the lead story there, it says, outrage in police over lopsided promotions. Outrage in police over lopsided promotions. Court orders recall of 95 sacked PSC workers. That's a lead story for the Independent, and it's on page 4. All right, Kingsley, let's take a look at what you have.
All right, as you said, the lead story for the three papers that I have, it's one at Benue, as well as matters arising from the president's meeting with the U.S. Secretary of State. It's the lead story for The Guardian, coming with a double-decker headline. In Benue, Buhari finds Inspector General of Police Idris defied relocation order with two riders. President denies overlooking killings, and PDP flays politically motivated visit. Now you see the photograph there on the front page of The Guardian. That's President Buhari there to the left of the screen, and then next to him is the Benue State Governor, and that's, you also have Senator George Akume himself, a former governor of the state, as well as retired General Lawrence Onoja. Lawrence Onoja was a former military governor of Plateau State sometime in the past. Now you come to the leadership newspaper. That photograph there on the front page of The Guardian is also there on the front page of the leadership newspaper, the same, virtually the same faces that you are seeing. Now that's the second photograph. If you just scroll up a bit here, you can see the photograph there. And then the headline, that's the headline, the story saying, I cannot overlook killings in any part of Nigeria. That's according to President Muhammadu Buhari. And then two riders there explains why federal government negotiated with Boko Haram. And then the photograph on at the bottom there, the rider relates to that, says U.S. pledges to assist in rescue of Dapchi school girls. And then you come to the front page of the Blueprint newspaper. This is it's a different photograph, but also a photograph out of Makurdi yesterday. You see that together with the headline, I'm genuinely worried over Benue killings, as according to President Buhari, with a rider 2 mopos, that will be actually 2 officers of the mobile police unit, killed 15 hours to president's visit. 2 mobile police officers killed 15 hours to president's visit. That story jumps to page 6. And then the lead story for the paper, it's with a kicker, Buhari to Tillerson. Why we shun military option in Chibok, Dapchi girls release. And Tillerson there says, schoolgirls abduction, heartbreaking. That story is in greater detail on page 6. Bio.
Yes, let's start with the visit of the Secretary of State for the U.S. While receiving him, President Muhammad Buhari explained that its administration wants to ensure the release of the girls taken away safely, and that is why they are negotiating rather than resorting to military action. He told Rex Tillerson that government is working with international organizations to negotiate. He indicated that he will be visiting Dapchi this week. The Secretary of State said the United States government gives its full support to Nigeria and its sympathy with the challenges we are having. He says we give support and opportunities to expand the economy, commerce, investment, and also a peaceful 2019 election. The Secretary of State has since returned to the United States. But meanwhile, the president was on the 3rd leg of his visit to the states that has been ravaged by the farmers-herders clashes. He's expected to visit Rivers and Zamfara that have also suffered heavy losses of lives from banditry and New Year Day violence. While in Benue, he addressed leaders of thought, traditional rulers, and other stakeholders, and he says the relationship between farmers and elders will continue. It behoves on all to keep engaging all parties to live peacefully together. He says he is appealing to all to show more restraint. He added that he has friends from Benue, and there was no way he would deliberately overlook what was happening in Benue and other parts of the country. Governor Samuel Ortom used the occasion to ask for an upgrade of the IM Aquatuma, the operation cat race, to cover the entire state so as to stem the killing that is still ongoing. You recall that Kingsley just drew attention to 2 mobile policemen that were killed just yesterday, 15 hours before the president's visit. Several prominent persons used the opportunity to also speak. One of them was a Second Republic minister who says that the landmass of Nigeria is not increasing, but the population of Nigeria is increasing. So if something is not done now, we will end up having the country ridden by terrorism. He now asked, how can somebody with Fulani blood be leader of thief people? Now, this rhetoric remark is part of the traditional banters that have permeated most of the cultures in this part of the country. I recall, for instance, during my youth corps, one of my colleagues who is from Tivland saw a Fulani man. He shouted at him and said, "Fulani man, come here." The Fulani man turned and said, "That must be a thief man." At the end of the day, they embraced. It's this cultural way people play with one another. But these days, these cultural values are being dissipated and violence is taking the place. This is what the president was referring to.
Yeah, in place of that, you now have AK-47.
Yes, sadly so. And now the papers have resorted to sensational reporting on the comment of the president by the IGP. He actually said, "I am surprised to hear that the IGP did not obey my instructions," which meant that from the report he received, it seemed to him that the IGP may have complied, or possibly that he disobeyed. And if you recall, the facts are that when the IGP went, he first held a meeting with stakeholders in Makurdi. After that, he now went to Nasarawa State, held a stakeholders meeting with those in Nasarawa State. He summoned a 3rd meeting seeking to have stakeholders from Benue and Nasarawa to meet together in Makurdi. But that one suffered a lot of frustration. And it was when he came back, he reported that one of the strong impetuses to the clashes was the open anti-grazing law, which the Benue state government did not find very...
Yeah, there was also a DIG,
yes,
the DIG in charge of operations who was on ground. And then there was a change also of the police commissioner in charge. I think there's also an AIG who's also been left there. I recall that we had this report soon after, because there were complaints that the IG did not stay back, even immediately after he had reported. And they said, look, there were other issues for him to tackle, you know, at the headquarters. We had a guest on the program, and I'm sure, Bayo, you'll recall. So the explanation you're giving now is, shall we say, spot on.
Very spot on. All right, let's move to other stories. Now we'll begin with the Independent. It says federal government audit report uncovers 5.1 billion naira scam at UI, and that's the University of Ibadan. If you come down just beside the picture story, it says Lagos APC chairman faces sack over Oyegun's National Working Committee tenure extension, and he couldn't have stopped it, says Ibokwe. And it's the same story. I'm surprised at the bottom of IGP disobeyed Nigeria, like you said. Some people have gone into selective reporting. Well, let's move now to Daily Sun. Daily Sun, beside the nameplate, it says EFCC grills ex-PDP chair. That's Alimodu Sheriff over 2015 election fund. And let's move down now to just beside the picture story. It says Fulani headsman kill 3, injure 2 in Ebonyi. And of course, restructuring plot against the North, says Ganduje. Those are the stories trending this morning. Bayo, you talked about the issue of the Kaduna teachers earlier on.
Just before we get that, there is a story on page 12 of The Guardian. If you like, I mean, it's a diminished version of Dapchi and Chibok. Well, this is even more grievous, and it raises a lot of concerns. The headline is there in the Metro section of The Guardian, page 12. If we can have that on the screen right away. It says, madman storms school and hacks 2 pupils to death in Ogun. You can see the photograph of the sympathizers there. So let me just take that. Now, this happened in Agodo in Ogun, Waterside local government area of Ogun State. And it said that the suspect who was said to have stormed the school while the pupils were on lunch break. So, and the pupils who were killed were said to have been aged 4, and the other one in the kindergarten class. So what was the level of security on the school premises? As we said, this is a probably a diminished version of Chibok and Dapchi, but it just raises concern as to the safety and security of pupils in the school. They said the madman took to his heels after the havoc.
Sadly, innocent children who have problems. Across to Kaduna State, the challenge is with the unqualified teachers. The governor is saying that after the dismissal of about 21,870, the 25,000 teachers who sat exam, some of them have been found not to be qualified. They were given plain sheets to simply write a letter of acceptance, and many of them could not. But the governor says he's determined to ensure that they upgrade the status of teachers in Kaduna State. And he says in 5 years' time, private education will be a luxury because very qualified teachers will be in public schools, and it will be the eye and the choice of all peoples in Kaduna State. He's prepared to pay electoral price if that is what he will have to pay to improve the teaching.
But still on education, it's virtually the forgotten strike. That story is coming from the Blueprint newspaper. Just immediately below the nameplate, it says federal government sources 8 billion naira to end 5-month Sanu-Nasu strike. I think the strike started in December last year.
Yes,
so it's not 5 months yet, but it says federal government is sourcing 8 billion naira to end that strike. That story is also on the front page of another newspaper.
All right, I guess that's the much we can take this morning on the newspaper review segment. We want to say thank you so much. Tomorrow morning is another day.
See you tomorrow then.
All right, you're still watching Good Morning Nigeria. We're live on the NTA, and we'll take a break now. Our item for discussion, our conversation this morning, it's on the Peace Corps controversy. That's what we're looking at this morning, and of course we have a lot of guests who will be speaking to this issue. Just stay with us.
Hate speech is not a joke. It incites genocide and crimes against humanity. Most of Africa's civil wars are caused by hate speech from one tribe against another. We don't want it here. The Nigerian government stands firm against hate speech.
I was distressed to notice that some of the comments, especially in the social media have crossed our national red lines by daring to question our collective existence as a nation. This is a step too far.
One nation bound in freedom, peace and unity.
Nigeria, one nation, one people.
This is a public service announcement brought to you by NTA.
Give me the value pack. Helen!
You do great value shopping.
Absolutely. I'm a champion at getting value.
Then you must have bought the Harpic 200 ml.
Why Harpic when I have this?
Even after applying them 10 times, they won't give a sparkling clean toilet.
Impossible.
Challenge. Detergent and bleach can't give a sparkling clean toilet even after 10 times. But Harpic 200 ml gives a sparkling clean toilet at one go.
Wow! Harpic 200 ml. Real deal. Now only 200 naira.
Don't you?
3 Crowns Milk is low in cholesterol and endorsed by the Nigerian Heart Foundation.
3 Crowns Milk. Healthy moms, happy families.
All right, now as a prompt for our discussion this morning, let's join our correspondent Oyemi Ajayi, who has a background report on the controversies surrounding the Peace Corps bill.
Peace Corps of Nigeria was first floated in 1994 with the objective of capacity building for youth creativity and intervention, capacity building for youth development and empowerment in agriculture, peace, education, and conflict resolution. Part of the objectives is the maintenance of surveillance on students organizing secret societies, identify their members, associates, modus operandi, and to make such discoveries known to the appropriate authorities, among others. It was initially referred to as the Nigerian Leadership and Marshal Corps and kept changing at different points until 1998, when it was formally registered as a non-governmental organization with the name Peace Corps of Nigeria. The group was funded by donations from local and international donor agencies, grants for specific projects, subventions from governments and private corporations, enlistment fee, identity card fees, weekly development fee by members, camp fees, gifts, and requests. At some point, the leadership thought about the need to make it one of the Nigerian paramilitary agencies to be funded by the federal government, and this was pushed forward to the National Assemblies for the enactment of the enabling law. After suffering a series of setbacks, the House of Representatives commenced the processes of lawmaking to enact the Peace Corps law. The public hearing was characterized by serious opposition to the enactment of the law, just as a host of others argued that it was due and in order. However, in February 2017, the Nigerian Police Force, Department of State Services, and the military raided the head office of the Peace Corps in Abuja and was slammed a 90-count charge of recruitment scam, money laundering, and impersonation to the tune of 1.4 billion naira against the Peace Corps National Commandant and 49 others by the federal government. The bill was sent alongside others to the executive for assent, but President Muhammadu Buhari has withdrawn assent citing security and financial reasons. That decision has generated another debate as those for and against the enactment of the Peace Corps law are once again expressing opinions on the development. The question now remains, is Peace Corps what we need now? Are there not enough security agencies to take care of Nigerian security needs? Must the Peace Corps be funded by government to enable it to carry out its objectives? Will it not have been an additional advantage to have another security outfit, especially now that the country is facing security challenges? These are some of the questions guests on Good Morning Nigeria will be providing answers to shortly.
All right, Oyemi Ajayi, thank you very much for that background report. Now we have guests with us here in the Abuja studios, as well as from our network center. First, of course, you have seen him in the in the visuals there. It's right here with us in the studios is Dixon Akor. Dixon Akor is styled as the Commandant General of the Nigeria Peace Corps.
National Commandant.
National Commandant of the Nigeria Peace Corps. Pleasure to have you on Good Morning Nigeria.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Also here with us is Emmanuel Ojukwu. Emmanuel Ojukwu is a retired commissioner of police. He served in Kogi and Enugu states, and at some point was also a force public relations officer. Retired commissioner of police. Ojukwu, pleasure that you are with us on Good Morning Nigeria.
Good morning.
Okay.
All right, gentlemen, let's begin with the National Commandant of the Peace Corps. But before we get to you, I'd like to introduce our guest that we have in our Benin Network Center. We're now being joined by Augustine Ekelebe. He's a professor of political science, University of Benin. Prof, good morning, and it's good to have you join us on Good Morning Nigeria today.
Thank you very much.
Gentlemen, let's begin with the National Commandant of the Peace Corps, Dixon Ako.
Yeah, Rhoda, I'm wondering, let's start off so that we can have some clarity on all of this. What is the status of the Peace Corps at the moment? Is it an NGO or is it a statutory body?
Well, from the background you just relayed, it remains an NGO. All the efforts of the National Assembly was tailored towards giving statutory body, statutory recognition to the activities of the Peace Corps of Nigeria. Now that the President has withheld his assent, it continues to function as an NGO.
And you have your paraphernalia, of association, you have your uniform, you have your titles, you say you are National Commandant, and so how do you reconcile all of this for an NGO?
Well, if you find out, you don't just go to Corporate Affairs Commission to register a name. You go with your constitution. And the constitution stipulates your mode of operation, your uniform, membership drive, sources of funding. So there is nothing that we are using now, including the title, the uniform, that is not approved by the Corporate Affairs Commission. Recall that registration of an NGO is different from a company. When the Peace Corps was first initiated in 1991, the Corporate Affairs Commission was approached. We were given the basic requirements under the Companies and Allied Matters Act of 1990 per se. And among the requirements includes publication in 3 national newspapers, which will endure for 28 days, calling for public objection. After then, the file will be forwarded to the states where you want to situate your national headquarters. And as the case of Peace Corps of Nigeria may be, the headquarters, the pilot phase was observed in Lagos when Colonel Olaguseyin Oyinlola was the military administrator of Lagos State. And when the file got to him from Corporate Affairs Commission, the Ministry of Home Affairs of Lagos State transmitted this file to the Commissioner of Police, Lagos State. And the business of the Commissioner of Police, Lagos State, is for the licensing department to vet the intentions via the Constitution. And the process of vetting includes bringing your uniform, defending your objectives, your title, whatever is incorporated in that Constitution, you have to defend it before the licensing department of the Lagos State Police Command, which I was privileged to be there to defend everything that had to do with the organization because I initiated the Peace Corps in Nigeria. So as far as we are concerned, apart from being accorded approval or licensed by the Corporate Affairs Commission, there are procedures. We have what we call the National Youth Development Policy. It stipulates how a youth organization can evolve, how it can be accorded federal government recognition. And as far as I'm concerned, the Peace Corps as of 2000 met all these basic requirements in line with the National Youth Development Policy. And the federal government then, via the then Federal Ministry of Intergovernmental Affairs, Youth Development and Special Duty, gave Peace Corps a written federal government recognition. So whatever we have been doing, regardless of the allegation against the organization, You understand me? The federal government appropriately accorded us recognition, and our activities is being supervised by the Federal Ministry of Youth Development. We have never gone outside our scope. It is based on the achievement we have recorded and participation in United Nations program across the globe that the UN in 2012 accorded the Peace Corps of Nigeria a special consultative status. This was followed by African Union in 2006. We have all these documents. We are affiliated also to the United Nations Environmental Program, the NEMA in Nigeria, National Emergency Management Agency, and UNESCO. So,
what are your objectives?
Well, basically, is to function in schools and colleges.
As teachers or what?
No, not as teachers. To provide safety for students in schools and colleges.
Okay, but I'm sure Kingsley's asking this because for a lot of people, the question is, we have the Nigerian Police Force, we have the Army, we have the SSS, we have the NSCDC, and as it stands right now, a lot of these organizations are actually underfunded. So the question on the mind of a lot of Nigerians is, why do we need the Peace Corps? Of what use is the Peace Corps to us? And what value is it going to add to our security apparatus? Why doesn't the Peace Corps remain an NGO?
Well, let me just tell you one salient issue that Nigeria may not know. When we are operating as an NGO up till now, we are very, very comfortable. We have a lot of support and goodwill. 34 state governments approved the establishment of Peace Corps in their schools and colleges. And we are doing very, very well in terms of preventing intruders from invading the schools. We also provide leadership training for students, citizenship training for students, ensuring that students doesn't loiter in town during school hours. Like a Kegori tale we just witnessed here now, where a madman just invaded the school. That is our jurisdiction. We attempt to foster when we suspect any unfortunate movement. We allow the security agencies. But the interference by the police, the interference by the SSS, we have written circulars where a state government like a Plateau State, Cross River State, even the State House of Assembly enacted laws to ensure that the state government patronage, because the youths are not imported from anywhere else, is the youth, they are basically youth from the state. But the same security agencies will keep sending circular, government does support because the organization doesn't have statutory backing. I've been taken to court severally, and there is never a time that I have been indicted or found wanted by any court of law. 13 court judgments against the police, against the SSA, against the Ministry of Justice. The recent 90 count charge you just read publicly, it was a celebrated issue, and I did say it before the first PRO. You invaded our headquarters, that was the day the headquarters was being opened. And the only exhibit you can recover from the exhibit is my portrait, our flag, and you now took me to court on the allegation that on 90 count charges, but when you later went to court and withdrew the 90 count charges, you never told anybody. So, let me tell you, there's no controversy whatsoever. And Rhoda, please, let me point out something very, very clear. Okay. If we don't have a missing link, we won't have the kind of security challenges we're having today. The Peace Corps was not established to be a security agency. What is just happening today, if you want to give a dog a bad name, if you want to kill a dog, you give it a bad name. The major function I have the bill here given to the Peace Corps. The core mandate is to develop, empower, and provide gainful employment for the youth in order to facilitate peace, volunteerism, from community services, neighborhood watch, and for other related matters. It was not given the mandate of arrests. It was not given the mandate of detention, investigation, and prosecution. And it was not also given the mandate, even during the public hearing. As the founder of the organization, I spoke, go and get the written memorandum, growingly against any attempt to talk about arm bearing, training, and orientation. And also, I was the one that advocated that this organization, for the members of the organization, look at the footage, they are basically youth. You understand me? For them not to equate themselves with the police, the civil defense, and other, and not to be seen like a paramilitary organization. domicile this organization under Ministry of Youth. And the bill prescribed that the organization is domiciled under the Ministry of Youth for the purpose of facilitating youth empowerment and development.
All right, all right, Mr. Accord, thank you very much. Just before we bring in the other guests, we'd like to pause it. But before we do that, you said some 34 states have signed on to the Peace Corps. Yeah. But which states are left out?
I think the states that are left out is Borno State. That is the operation in school. Borno State Borno State and Ogun State.
Borno and Ogun.
And Ogun State.
Yobe is not left out.
Yobe is not left out.
All right.
But then you may want to ask the incidents that happen in schools and colleges in Yobe.
Buniyadi, for instance.
Buniyadi and the Dapchi.
Yes.
Let me tell you, if you don't spend more at peacetime, you spend more. You understand me? If you spend less at peacetime, you spend more at peacetime. Now, at what time? Now, in 2013, the Federal Ministry of Education gave Peace Corps written approval, formal approval to establish the Peace Corps program. After test running this program in some school, go to Dogbulu today. Peace Corps, you meet at least 6 Peace Corps there, and never will you find intruder into that school. When this approval was going, it was the same security report. They don't have the statutory backing, and as such, don't patronize their activities. I think that has been the challenge, greatest challenges.
All right, thank you very much. Let's bring in now Mr. Emmanuel Ojukwu, a retired Commissioner of Police and former Force Public Relations Officer. Of course, you've listened to the comments of the retired, sorry if I use that expression, retired as the National Commandant of the Peace Corps of Nigeria. What's your reaction to all of this? It appears that probably they're just being beaten, with no justification.
Well, Peace Corps problem didn't start today. Okay. I ran into them by 2008 or 2009 when I was first PRO. And there were so many adverse security reports on the existence, operation, mode of operation of the Peace Corps. These reports were directed to the police to take appropriate action. And we've been in conflict, the police has been in conflict with them over these issues. But they keep saying we were registered by the CAC. CAC is not a security organization. They don't screen on issues of security. CAC has over 2 million companies registered. They don't do due diligence as to what this will do. Now, the National Security Advisor at that time, and even today, has identified that there are issues with Peace Corps. Their operation is against security, is anti-Nigeria, and if we are not careful, we'll burn our fingers. And so most times the police will say Peace Corps should not exist, they shouldn't operate, or they should do this and that. So that conflict has always been there for many, many years. Now, part of their bill that I read, that they will provide orderlies to chief executives, governors, traditional rulers, top notchers in Nigeria, mount surveillance in schools and all that, provide security and safety in schools in Nigeria. These are issues, these are jobs already being done by the police and other security agencies in this country. If we have problem with the police or other agencies that are not doing well, we need to rethink why are they not doing well. Not just creating new groups. We have some time ago on NTA, you had a program they call, I think, Fuji House of Commotion or so. Yeah. They say 1 wife is a trouble, 2 confusion, 3 commotion. What will have, if you add Peace Corps, it becomes worse than commotion. I don't know what to use. So they should look for other things to do. If it's an NGO, they remain an NGO and do other things to contribute to national development. But not like flying a flag, wearing uniforms, wearing all manner of ranks and all that. It is a 4th or 5th force coming. And before you know it, Nigeria will be in deeper trouble.
But you see, it's known, or would I say, the police is said, and I repeat, the police is said to be underfunded, it's understaffed, it's under-equipped. And for some people, the reason is that Okay, if the police is underfunded, it's understaffed, it's under-equipped, don't you think another paramilitary organization being added to it will probably help our security apparatus?
I think it's a wrong way to look at issues.
Okay.
The police, as you said, rightly said, is underfunded, under-equipped, understaffed. The source of fund is the federal government, because it's federal police. Now, the move of government now is to get into community policing. The move of us, of Nigerians also, is to get every Nigerian to own the police, begin to fund it. Because government alone cannot fund the police. That is the situation everywhere in the world. Other groups begin to fund the police. If you fund the police collectively, the police will have the wherewithal to perform. We've already established that it's a scandal in this country that in an era of insecurity, you are underfunding the internal security apparatus of the Nigerian police. In fact, it's like a crime against humanity. So if you create Peace Corps now, this organization, that same fund they didn't have, are you going to have it now to give to this new group? There are new groups coming, but what happened to the old man? What happened to the new bride? As time goes on, the same source of fund is a zero sum. Government is been crying, we don't have enough money for this. So getting Peace Corps into it, and it's a private member who sponsored it. If government wanted a new organization, government will prepare a bill, send to National Assembly. We want this in because government's duty is to provide security and welfare for Nigerians. If government knows there's a lacuna in what police is doing, and they think the police cannot do it, or the agencies cannot do it, we need something more. We want more babies. Government will go ahead and then inseminate their wife and have more babies. Not for a prime member to now create a group, force it on Nigerians, government, fund it, because we think they are relevant. I think we are putting the cart before the horse.
All right.
All right, Emmanuel Ojukwu, thank you very much. Let's go over to our Benin Network studios. Professor Augustine Kiligbe, of course, you've been listening to the two guests here with us on the studios. Let's have your initial comments on all of this, starting out from the way the Peace Corps itself began and what it claims to be its objectives.
Okay, thank you very much. There's no doubt that there's need for a Peace Corps in Nigeria, given the pervasive conflicts all over the place. There's need for early warning, there's need for conflict prevention, there's need for institutions, organizations that engage in resolving conflicts and such like. But what are the models of Peace Corps across the world? We can divide the terrain into two. There is the civil, volunteering, voluntary model. This is a purely civil force made up of volunteers who merge with the public, who integrate with the public. They are able to provide civil intelligence to the security forces. They are also able to interact with the people, identify points of conflict, notify the security agencies, engage in conflict resolution activities and such like. And we already have several NGOs that are engaged in this, particularly in conflict-prone areas. The other model is the paramilitary security-oriented model, which is not a dominant model. Here you have another force which engages from the top rather than from the people. Here you also have another force that engages in security duties, that is more involved in peace enforcement rather than peace building, rather than conflict resolution and such issues. So what model do we need in this country? I think what we need here is a civil paramilitary, sorry, not paramilitary, but voluntary force based on volunteers that are not dependent on the government. Such an agency should be able to raise funds from international organizations, should be able to raise funds from the private sector. They would rather be complementing, not be performing the roles of security agencies. That is the kind of national, voluntary organization that we need. And such an agency will be an integral part of a national peace architecture. A national peace architecture. In 2015, there was there were efforts to develop a national peace policy, which was to have a national peace commission at the top, at the very top, at the national level, national peace committees at the state level, which were to generate funds from government and other agencies and the private sector and such like. That didn't see the light of day. If we're to have a voluntary Peace Corps, it should fit into a national peace architecture. But as it stands, as the Peace Corps of Nigeria, as the commandant has explained and all that, what is envisaged is another security agency. An agency that maintains public order, an agency that maintains order in the schools. That is a paramilitary, that is a kind of security agency. And all that has been said indicates this also, that there are kinds of paramilitary training, training in the use of arms, training, I mean, the uniforms with emblems or such like. That means it is a kind of paramilitary agency. If that is what is envisaged, and that is what the commandant has been telling us, then the terrain is already too congested. One of the problems we have in the Nigerian security sector is that we have a lot of agencies whose boundaries are ill-defined. We have agencies with, whose functions overlap with the other. So we have dualities, rather clear demarcations of responsibilities. We have situations, and that is what one of the problems that is undermining interagency collaboration, because there are no clear divisions of where one starts and where the other one ends. And by the way, the international model, even in this, ours is almost like a kind of exception. The police is the main agency. In many countries, all these other road safety, the NDLEA, and all that are part of the police. The arms of the police. But here we have chosen to make them, different agencies under different commands, therefore making coordination and control quite difficult. So the terrain is too congested. We don't need another paramilitary, another security agency. What the police does, what the civil defense does, what the DSS does, and all those covers the entire breadth of security issues that Nigeria is faced with. And so if the bill is to fly, I think that it should reorient itself to be a purely civil force, engaged in purely civil rules of conflict, early conflict warning, for example, efforts in conflict resolution and such like, not in maintaining public order or order in the schools and such like. Those are already functions for already existing agencies. So I think that's my view for now.
Thank you very much, Austin Ekelebe. We'll get back to you. You've raised lots of issues concerning the Peace Corps. I'd like to get back to the National Commandant. The question on the minds of a lot of people is this: why is the Peace Corps desperate to transform itself from an NGO to a paramilitary organization? And then, can it not function without being funded by government?
Well, going back memory lane, we have spent so far 27 years of existence, and we internally source our resources. I've told you beforehand, there is the hostility by the police, by the SSS that kept circulating. Even if we have international program, I introduced 4 awards, international award. Did you know we have to be giving this award during every September during General Assembly? Because anytime we attempt to come up with the Peace Award in Nigeria here, the same police and SSS will frustrate it. And Mr. C.P. Ojukwu retired. They say here that in 2008 he was the first PRO. We shouldn't, because of sentiment, misinform people. This document, you can have it.
Read it.
No, I have a copy.
No, read it.
I have my copy.
Oh, okay.
You understand me? Look at when he was first PRO, this was a nationwide investigation conducted by police. And the line to say a discrete investigation conducted to ascertain the legality of its existence, its activity and motive, objective of its formation, as well as the identity of its program, did not reveal any negative motive or security threats. If you go further to the next page, this is a report by the Force Headquarters. It's a Force CID, signed by CP Babalola for the DIG, DIG Force CID. The Peace Corps, which started as Nigerian Leadership and Martial Corps, metamorphosed as the international and finally to the Peace Corps of Nigeria with no subversive trade or anti-social activities. I don't want to go through the whole country. Our sources of funding, everything on the order of the former president was that ordered the IG then to investigate the Peace Corps. They went around the whole nation. We have letters of commendation. And there was a period in Nigeria today, there are 2 Peace Corps in existence. People misconstrued what one Peace Corps is doing. And unfortunately, I didn't come with the report signed by the CP, Ibrahim Sabo.
What other Peace Corps are you talking about?
National Unity and Peace Corps.
Oh,
okay.
So you have
yes, there's National Unity and Peace Corps.
A Hydra-headed now,
yes.
not just one.
Let me tell you that I tell who want to say here because of the pendency of an action in court. Most of the allegations raised against this Peace Corps of Nigeria has nothing to do with Peace Corps of Nigeria.
Are you saying now that there has been no misconduct from your recruits or the people? Because there are lots of allegations, and I think in the course of the program we're going to still get your yes. thoughts on that. But I asked you first of all, can't the Peace Corps run without funding from government?
I have answered you. We have been functioning as an NGO.
So you can fund yourself?
We can.
Okay.
If we have a very conducive atmosphere for us to thrive, we will definitely be self-sustaining. But one thing I want to clarify, let me tell you, when people kept making reference to an individual private bill, the lawmaking processes demand that immediately a bill scales through the general principle debate on general principle of the bill, it becomes the bill of the parliament. And if you find out what happened during the public hearings, or your people covered it live by the House of Rep and the Senate, 578 memoranda were received. Funny enough, it is only 4 of the memoranda and other submissions that were against the establishment of the Peace Corps. Out of 578, the police, the SSS, the NSA, and the Ministry of Interior. But like
those were the ones in support or against?
The only ones against.
Oh, that's
National Orientation Agency, Federal Ministry of Youth Development, State Houses of Assembly, all INEC, they all supported the function. People that argue against the Peace Corps has not even gone through the bill. Because the bill prescribed, like the professor rightly stated, purely civil arrangement. I told you, organization that is domiciled under Ministry of Youth. Now we have about 37 uniform youth organizations in Nigeria.
All right, let's get this clear. You said now that there is another entity that also has, as part of its title, Peace Corps.
Peace Corps, National Unity and Peace Corps, duly registered by the Corporate Affairs Commission.
Oh, I see. So the name was available. Which one came first? Yours or theirs?
Mine came first.
Okay, and since that other entity has been in existence, you haven't raised any eyebrows in terms of passing off? That's passing off. That's a legal expression, by the way.
Well,
that's to say mistaken identity.
No, excuse me. I'm not at liberty to do so.
Okay.
It's because we are viewing security from Nigerian concepts. I have traveled widely, Brazil, America. Enter America today, every specialized agency has its own specialized security establishment. Are you with me? Though with the police carry out the core security function of protecting life and property. If you just land in America airport today, you meet the border control. After border control, you go to immigration. After immigration, you go to custom. After custom, every community, the concept of community policing, as we are trying to doctor in Nigeria, is not what is in practice in advanced society. I went to an African kitchen to go and eat in New York, just to find my way in 2012 from that African kitchen to UN headquarters. The young police men and ladies that I saw were kitted, about 4 of them manning every street. I asked them just my way to United Nations headquarters. They told me they don't know, because they are trained and they can tell you the nitty-gritties of everything within the locality, the county that they are domiciled. So it is not true that in advanced society that security are restricted. Every agency, every institution, every district, if you talk about transport, they have transport police. If you go to various establishments they have, that is not particularly the kind of policing system we have in Nigeria.
So Mr. Akko, well, thanks for your explanation. I don't know where you went to the African kitchen to go and eat. Was it so far off from the East River where the UN building is located? But that's a joke. Anyway.
No, I understand.
Yeah, all right. So, but to get back to the issue, you say yours came into existence before the other Peace Corps. Tell us something. You have outlined some of your objectives. How do you operate?
Well, I've told you, our operation is centered on volunteerism. Our operation is squarely in schools and colleges. Contrary to even, I have never said that we train our people with arm. Prof made reference to that. We don't engage ourselves in arm bearing. Our activity has nothing to do with arm, and our activity is majorly in schools. And I told you earlier on that we deploy our members to schools. They assist school authority in the maintenance of discipline within the school. And when we see anything strange in terms of intruder whatsoever, we inform the school authority to alert security agencies. I've also stated that we don't have power and there's no reported case of Peace Corps arresting, investigating, detaining, prosecuting anybody. And as such, the concept of paramilitary organization worldwide ideally is in arms bearing, is in arresting. You can call immigration, custom, and not their civil defense corps paramilitary because they have power to arrest, have power to detain, have power to investigate. In this case, not Peace Corps. The only reference to anything that has to do with security in the bill passed is in neighborhood watch. And what is the concept of neighborhood watch? That we have rural and urban migration by the youth, energetic youth. Instead of us to allow them being used to carry out uncanny act, let this youth wear costume of Peace Corps, be given a distinct orientation so that they will maintain watch in their various neighborhoods, and if there is anything that has to do with breach of law and order, or the warning signal is that alert the jurisdictional police or the SSL in that locality. So the effect of that neighborhood watch, the import of the neighborhood watch, therefore, is that some of the members, there is no community in Nigeria today you get to that you find Peace Corps. I always make reference, and I've done it here. The Nigeria is under policed. And this will make the country vulnerable to all sorts of insecurity.
But
I'm coming, let me land, sir. Let me land, sir.
We have other guys.
I know, sir. Let me just land.
Yes.
I am coming from a community called Ogboju. It's a district in Otukpo local made up of 89 villages. And in that district, we have just a police post with four unarmed personnel. Just imagine the kind of how the place is vulnerable to insecurity. What we are saying now, to complement the effort of the police, these youth, young graduates, school leavers, should be empowered so that they gather intelligence report and network to security agencies, not for them themselves to carry out your assignment, but for them is just to be vigilant and submit security report to police, SSS, but not for them to effect any arrest.
You see, when I asked about your mode of operation, you said this is what you do, X, Y, Z. If indeed what you are doing is to say, look, you are also aiding the security agencies in intelligence gathering and then early warning signs, how have you done that with the police authorities, and how come the police authorities, the DSS, and the National Security Advisor, as well as the Minister of Interior, are against your operation?
Well, he has told you that police is underfunded. They need more fund. Are you with me? That the same fund that will be used to fund the Peace Corps can be redirected to make the existing security more efficient. So I stated clearly here. Even let me tell you, the basic submission made during the public hearing is that fund give us more money. You understand me? It has nothing to do with any security implication, but that the existing security agencies are underfunded. Therefore, National Assembly should appropriate more money for them to operate.
So, Mr. Akko, thanks a lot, but I'm just wondering, the question is unanswered. If indeed you've been gathering intelligence and then assisting the security agencies with your intelligence gathering, how come they are still against you? Anyhow, we'll pause you in the meantime and then take reactions from our viewers that have come by way of tweets. Festus Akinboyewa has this first tweet that we are taking. Kudos to the president for rejecting the Peace Corps bill. Since Nigeria needs hundreds of thousands of more police officers to police Nigeria effectively, interested and qualified members of the Peace Corps should be recruited into the police force.
And this one is from Lamidi Sahid. He says, how would an NGO become a security establishment suddenly?
And still from Lamidi Sahid Ademola, it says, why do we need more uniforms? The organization was registered as an NGO. How would the organization suddenly transform to a security establishment? Who is saying the only empowerment for the youth is security guard?
And this one is from Sani Michael Omokoji. It says, Mr. Dixon Ako, why do you want to transform an NGO into a security outfit? What is the vision and mission of the Peace Corps? Must the Peace Corps be funded by government according to your objectives? I think he's answered that question already.
Awunu G. Joshua tweets, Peace Corps has noble objectives and should continue to exist as an NGO despite recent major setbacks.
And Raji Afiz Abim says, kudos to the National Commandant of the Peace Corps of Nigeria. He's done a good job for Nigerian government. Honestly, some youth Nigerians would have become criminals.
And Rabiu Suleiman tweets, Peace Corps, from your background reports, are not the kind of people seen ready for voluntary functions. Instead, they are just youth looking for job and recognition in society. I only see them hanging around politicians as oddlies, but never in schools as they claimed.
And Chris Simeon tweets, it says, due to the high rate of unemployment in Nigeria today, I'm pleading with the president to assent the bill.
Ibrahim Tudu tweets, Peace Corps is a very good platform for citizen voluntary participation. We should get a model that suits our national quest for peace and security in Nigeria.
And Mogbola on Bab's tweet, it's the Peace Corps today. Who knows who's coming out tomorrow? So Nigeria is now a banana republic that somebody can wake up in the morning and form a security organization. People canvassing for Peace Corps today, will they be able to canvass for vigilante groups too?
Nelson Ekujimi tweets, the Peace Corps is absolutely unnecessary and unwanted because it will amount to a duplication of the functions of state institutions that need empowerment, training, and other areas of deficiency rather than this distraction. It must not stand.
And Mohammed Adunusa, it tweets, it says, if the police is understaffed, then the government should recruit more police instead of creating a Peace Corps. All right, those are the tweets that we have right now. You can still continue to be a part of this conversation if you tweet at us at our Twitter handle at NTAGM. And of course, we're looking at the Peace Corps and of course the many issues that it's had in recent times. We'll take a break. Our guests, they're still here. When we come back, we'll continue. Thank you.
Hear the call of change. Stand up, Nigeria. Change is here and it's going to stay. Change begins with you. Oh yeah, make we go. Go to so let the change begin from within. Look at you, yeah, Ogerula. Change begins with you and me. Change begins with me. Change begins with me. Change begins with
NTA Television College, Jos, an affiliate of Ahmadu Bello University Zaria, is organizing a 4-week course in Principles and Practice of Marketing. We hold from 19th March to 13th April 2018. Course fee 100,000 naira per participant. Accommodation inclusive. Venue for both courses will be the NTA Television College, Rayfield, Jos. Both courses are specially designed to hone the skills of participants in the dynamic broadcast media space. The Broadcast Media Management Technique course targets participants from grade level 10 to 15 and shall deal with critical management functions that affect job performance. Principles and Practice of Marketing course has been packaged to help participants acquire relevant knowledge and skills in all aspects of digital marketing, public relations, market research, strategies, and management. For further inquiries, contact 0806 908 9807, 0703 660 7155 or email ntacollege@gmail.com. NTA NTA Television College, training you to be the best you can be.
Right, you're welcome back. But if you just joined us, it's Good Morning Nigeria, reaching you on Africa's largest television network, the Nigerian Television Authority. We still have our three guests with us in Benin, and here, two of them, of course, in the Abuja network studios. Just before we went on a short break, we had taken reactions from our viewers. We still have lots and lots of the twists coming in. Viewers are taking advantage of our Twitter handle at NTA GMA. We'll take some of those tweets now, and then we'll return to our guests. Can we, Victor, tweets? Let them, that's the Peace Corps, be considered for state policing.
And this one is from Fakunle Olayinka. He says if the Peace Corps claims to be mainly for youth development at schools, I hope the act is not a crisscrossing with the man war activities. Raji Afiz Abidemi tweets, President Buhari should please reconsider the Peace Corps bill. God will continue to protect our president for us. And this one is from Omobala Babs. He says, who says many of the Peace Corps members aren't employed already?
And Nesene Kujimi tweets, now the Peace Corps needs to be investigated for allegedly collecting millions of naira from our jobless youth to provide them employment. We need EFCC to investigate how much was collected from the gullible youth.
This one is from Odularu Olugbenga. He says the police is presently doing recruitment. Why can't they absorb the Peace Corps members, screen and train them for police duties?
Chris Simeon, there's nothing like duplicating the existing institutions' functions. Peace Corps has its own ideology and way of doing things. After all, two heads are better than one.
Mike and Yokotu, he said Peace Corps is nothing but a duplication of functions of other government organizations like the police force, NSCDC. The argument that it will help to reduce unemployment is mere bardish and does not hold any water. President Muhammad should please accent to this, should not accent to this bill.
And then we have this from Ali Eguno. It says civil defense came and it was nationalized. Now the Peace Corps has come. Who knows what the Corps will become tomorrow?
And this one says, what is the commandant saying? So anybody can register an NGO and transfer the organization to a government. He should go and continue his NGO. He collected 50,000 naira from individuals and he's saying he's volunteering.
And Habila Kwara Zakshi, I think the Peace Corps bill should be signed into law so as to engage our youth. They will be of help in tackling minor security threats in our society.
And Augustine Abiodun says Nigeria needs Peace Corps. It's high time we forget politics and sign the bill into law.
Habib S. Umar tweets, Peace Corps is only a duplication of some security organizations in Nigeria. If that to be engaged, let them be a department of the Nigeria police. In some countries, even immigration and customs are the same body. All right, those are the tweets that we have. In the meantime, Rhoda, let's get reactions from, of course, Mr. Dixon. You know, there are a number of allegations that have come in by way of tweets. There are all kinds of issues pertaining to, you'll respond to them, extortion and so on and so forth. But let's bring in
retired CP Emmanuel Ojukwu. You've listened to what he said. All right. Some people are of the opinion that already the police is being threatened by the existence of the NSCDC. And so as a result, part of the reason why it's persecuting the Peace Corps is because they don't want another organization to come as a threat again, especially what we're dealing with the NSCDC.
Well, that may be right, but I don't speak for the police. I know as a Nigerian that the law establishing the police force, the Constitution, said there shall be only one police force in Nigeria. NSDC came to perform the same functions as the police. That's a violation of the Constitution, but it can be maybe some other time to be heard. But it's already a law establishing them. Now that has created a lot of conflict of roles and responsibilities. Okay. That there are any money virtually doing nothing. So the money should have used to fund the core internal security agency, Nigeria Police. You've diverted to some other group. We keep shooting ourselves on the foot because we want to please somebody or want to create something new. What is good is not necessarily what is right. Do what is right. That's why you are in government. Somebody's in government to do what is right, not what is good, what seems popular. So right now, there is a problem. The Prof mentioned conflict of interest. Clashes here and there. There's no synergy. If you have information, you pass to the right group because you are competing for space. You want more relevance. You compete for relevance from the government that gives the money. So there's so much psychophancy here and there, playing to the gallery, and security is suffering. The aim of government is security and welfare. Security before welfare, not welfare before security. So in creating so many groups, as this one is coming now, is to further divide the attention of government, to further dissipate the funds meant for internal security to groups that will do nothing. Right now they want to get into election, to be monitoring election. It's part of their bill, I saw it there, to be monitoring election as well. They're looking for job. Government can give job to people, but not through security.
But then some people have said that, look, during elections, we're going to have general elections. Now, if you have deployed 21,000, 27,000 to just one state, then what's going to happen during general elections? Doesn't this call for the need for the Peace Corps?
The police, as is presently funded and organized, has been able to hold elections in this country.
Yeah.
There have been problems of violence here, starting of ballots and all that. But you see, the police need to be further trained and retrained, equipped, re-equipped, motivated, and mobilized to perform their functions better. The police is a baby. If he's not doing well, find out why he's not doing well. Yeah. If your first wife is not producing, find out why she's not. Don't just keep multiplying wives. Before you know it, you have 700 like Solomon. It doesn't pay anybody any good. What we're saying is that elections are coming quite all right. And the police, as I know, is prepared for 2023 election already. Okay. Not even 2019. So they can do the job and other agencies can assist them. But other agents of government, the immigration is there, civil defense is there, and those other groups, customs, and they all participate in the election. The police normally mobilizes all of them to be under their command to superintend over the elections. And INEC has never complained about inefficiency on the part of the security agencies.
All right, Emmanuel Ojukwu, thank you very much. We'll come back to you. Let's go back to Professor Augustine Ikelebe in our Benin Network studios. Professor Ikelebe, well, speak further to the points you earlier raised, and of course, the matter has already arisen from the comments of our guests here in the studios. First of all, if this is a voluntary entity, that's to say the Peace Corps, with the intention of doing a number of things that it says it wants to do, how do we reconcile this with the existence, the pre-existence of a number of very well-known entities? One of the tweets was talking about Man Who War, for instance. That's a youth a voluntary association. It's been around for a long time. You have the Boys Brigade, you have the Boy Scout, and several others. And then if you were to get into more of intelligence gathering, you have the various neighborhood watch groups, the vigilantes as they are sometimes called, and in conflicts in heavily impacted areas, conflict-impacted areas, you have the so-called civilian JTF. Well, is this therefore, a surplusage that the country doesn't need at this time?
Well, I will first of all raise some issues that are agitating my mind also. The first is the name of the organization, Nigeria Peace Corps. And what agitates me there is, what is peace about the Peace Corps, as currently constituted and as explained by the commandant. For all that the commandant has explained, what I get is pure security roles. Watch in the schools, watch in public places, and such like. Those are pure security roles. There are different aspects of peace. There's peacemaking, there's peace enforcement, there's conflict resolution, and there's peace building. These elements are not ingrained in what the Nigeria Peace Corps seems to be telling us according to the commandant. In other words, the current name of the organization is quite nebulous. I think the organization needs to redefine itself to more specialized, more specific roles that have to do with the challenges of Nigeria in terms of the pervasiveness of conflicts, in terms of providing early warning for conflicts, in terms of conflict prevention, in terms of managing conflicts and resolving them, in terms of keying into a national peace architecture. If that is done, then its roles will be unique, even though there are many other NGOs at lower levels, at state levels and such like, that are engaged in peace building and peacemaking. But at least that will make its roles more specialized. There's another issue that is bothering me also. Can an NGO transmute into a public sector agency? Can it transit? I mean, we already hear that several thousands of people have been recruited. Some say the estimates, some say 40,000, some say 60,000. They have been enlisted into the the Peace Corps, Nigeria Peace Corps. Are we expecting that these will transmute into a public sector, workers in a public sector agency, if the bill were to have been signed? Persons that were enlisted by an NGO, by a specific group, by specific commandants, can they become a national organization that is an agency funded by the government? That, again, is a question that I find it difficult to answer. The third question that I find difficult to answer is, given the size of the NGO that has currently constituted, I mean, there are two reasons that were given by the president for not giving assent. The first is funding, and the second is duplication of security roles. Now, when we talk about the funding, midway, yes, the budget is being considered. The executive budget is already with the National Assembly. We already have issues with funding, issues of revenue. The country is struggling with raising, revenue in order to fund government at existing levels. Do we need to unload an avalanche of 40,000, 60,000, new workers on the government? Or, put in another way, is the National Peace Corps the popularity of the Nigeria Peace Corps seems to be in terms of its link to unemployment or enhancing youth employment. Is that the only way? Is that the only channel to enhance youth employment? Can the government enhance employment, raise employment, generate employment, provide employment without an NGO or without the Nigeria Peace Corps? They're coming back to the questions that you raised. Yes, there are already existing agencies, and let us take note that some of these agencies are linked, they are part of international NGOs. The Man of War Bay, the Boy Scouts, all of us as Nigerians in schools, we all attended secondary schools. We come across these organizations, Red Cross. Some of us were members of these organizations. These organizations have nothing to do with government in terms of funding. They did not solicit for funding. They could get support, they could get grants, but they were not directly linked in terms of being constituted as agencies of government. In other words, there are already many agencies that are providing the kind of role that the Nigeria Peace Corps wants to provide. When you get to public ceremonies, you see the Boy Scout, you see the Man of War Bay, you see other uniformed NGOs, youth NGOs or youth groups that are involved in maintaining the peace, ensuring security in such public places. So, do we need another agency? I'm not quite sure about that. So, we have to interrogate the issues around the Nigeria Peace Corps more critically. It's not just in terms of the allegations that have been made, but in terms of propriety, in terms of critical roles to our national existence. Like I said earlier, the Nigeria Peace Corps need to redefine itself, need to go back to the drawing board, recant from security rules, and go into peace making, peace enforcement, and peace building. In that case, every Nigerian will support the NGO, because we need peace. We are in a country which we're at war with ourselves, groups at war with other groups, factions, in conflict factions and such like. So we need peace making, peace making and peace enforcement and peace building groups. And if that can be nationalized and become an integral part of a national peace architecture, a national peace policy, under a national peace policy, then that would be a major headway. That would be a major progress in terms of maintaining the peace in this country. But as otherwise constituted, I'm afraid it doesn't fly.
Thank you very much, Austin Ekelegbe, for your thoughts there. Let's bring back, let's get the Commandant into our conversation again. Now, let's look at your mode of recruitment, how you do your recruitment, the cost of recruitment. I say this because even from the tweets that we've had, there have been allegations of extortion, the cost of recruitment. Kingsley.
Yeah, that's right. There are all kinds of allegations that we have in the tweets and out there in the public. Maybe you say you were going to react to those allegations, plus the points articulated by Professor Ekelegbe, from our Benin Network Studios.
Quickly to the Prof, he needs to look at the Constitution, at the bill. The function assigned to the Peace Corps is just mainly, the aspect I wanted to clear earlier on is on the linkage with security. But issue of peace building, conflict resolution, integrated negotiation, resolution, they are all part of the bill. So it is not entirely of what I just told you is what we ought to be doing in schools. But issues of peace building, conflict resolution, intervention, everything, they are an embodiment of the bill. Then coming to the issue of the recruitment, we don't recruit, we enlist.
Okay.
It's unfortunate I was trying to give you the photocopy of our Peace Corps Constitution, but the page 25 is not there. The enlistment procedure, we have Peace Corps in twofold. If they say we are 40,000, we are 30,000, it's not everybody that is a regular member. Majority are Peace Corps volunteers. And when you join Peace Corps as a volunteer, you don't pay a dime. Even the fund given to you is free. But if you join Peace Corps as a regular member, and you want to use the uniform, we are not being funded by government. You go, you pay 45,000 naira for the uniform. Complete set of uniform accommodation for 1 month. Every premises we use, whether NYC, Polytechnic, we pay heavily for there. Like the program that was suspended at the Domain Polytechnic, we pay 5 million naira just to use there for 1 month, apart from buying water. That is not sufficient there. People will not look into that angle. Let me tell you, the ICPC on the order of the presidency has investigated that payment, and they gave a clearance to the SGF that the payment is by no means fraudulent. Because if you are coming, you come as a voluntary member. I've been in Boy Scout. I've been in Red Cross Society. Before I joined the school cadet, Army School Cadet. All this organization, you pay for, when you are going to camp, you pay for the camp. So we have clearance from the ICPC, and the SEC, both in Port Harcourt and in Abuja here, has investigated Peace Corps twice. So if you look at the constitution of the Peace Corps, one of the sources of income is sales of, they call it membership drive, just like any other voluntary organization.
How many regular members do you have now?
We have about 15,000 regular members.
You say 15 or 50?
15,000 across the states of the Federation. But majority order that you can hear in Peace Corps, they are purely Peace Corps volunteers.
How are the 15,000 regular members remunerated?
Well, for those who work in our offices, like in the headquarters here, we have about 50 people working there. Whatever is left over from our seasonal camping we organize, you understand me, we use it to run the office. Then secondly, majority of these youths, they are posted, members are posted to schools and colleges. If you go to schools and colleges, you see Peace Corps there. It is the direct beneficiaries of their services that is paying them, not us. You have a school, you say you need Peace Corps in school, and one is for the state office to negotiate with you, and you pay directly to them. So that is how Peace Corps is sustaining itself. And for me, as the founder of the Nigerian Peace Corps, of the Peace Corps of Nigeria, I told you earlier, I introduced 5 awards. These awards are given, and at times when some recipients of this award, they assist us. So we have not deviated from the prescribed sources of funding because it is self-sustaining.
Is it a one-man run show, or you have a board of governors?
We have a board of trustees. When people talk and make direct reference, CAC cannot. It is not a private enterprise. It is run by a board of trustees. And apart from the board of trustees, we have National Executive Council of the organization that is about 28 members.
Who are your trustees?
Trustees are youth like me, that we all started the organization together. So, and again, the issue of, say, election is coming, I'm trying to clear issues that came up. Nowhere, even organizations that monitors election are purely NGOs. But what the National Assembly in their wisdom says is that instead of sending NYC members, you are alone to go and conduct election as support staff for INEC, that Peace Corps, in order to empower them, can be used not as observers. I hope you are with me. They can be used like peace they can be used jointly with the NYC to conduct the election. These people that have already undergone some measures of leadership training. Are you with me? That is just what, but not observers. Like he stated, observers are drawn from NGOs, locally and international NGOs. So what the National Assembly therefore prescribe is that since at time if there are crises, these corps are always attacked. Peace Corps that have received measure of training can be integrated with them. That is what the bill is saying.
All right.
But the NYC members, sorry, we're going to pause you now to take more tweets so we can respond to them. Peace Corps, sorry, the NYC members are usually unarmed. So if therefore you're going to be integrated, what support are you going to be offering them? You will be as armless as they are, and then if there is violence, probably you guys get overrun. But that's looking at the worst case scenario.
Let's take the tweets that we have now. We have torrents of tweets. A lot of people seem to be interested in this issue. This one is from Nelson Kujimi. Says the Peace Corps should remain like the Boy Scout or the Girls Brigade or other voluntary organizations if they're really interested in contributing their own quota to nation building, rather than this backdoor tactics of becoming a state agency. We say no to it.
And then we have this from Ramat Reza Dauda. Says the Peace Corps bill and the unending controversy. The police can be overfunded and still be incompetent. It's an issue of ingrained corruption. Peace Corps is therefore seen as a rival. And
Olafisayo Jackson tweets, he says the Peace Corps is an NGO. No grant should it become a paramilitary.
We have this from Claire Ofodile. Please, no more uniforms. We have thousands of uniforms in the streets already in the name of paramilitary groups, and they're all without defined responsibilities of each group.
Florinshaw Shegun says, I'm not against the Peace Corps since the bill lets them stand on their own as an independent entity, fund themselves like other independent security firms around. They should fund themselves.
Ola J has this tweet, and the question is to the Peace Corps, are you profit-making? You levy schools for your services as though they were compelled to hire you at pay rates stipulated by you.
Abdul Musa tweeted, said, from what I read about the Peace Corps, it is international connection. If that's true, then we don't need it.
I know Ayodeji tweets, the bill should receive assent. It's been, President has, of course, withheld his assent or vetoed. Now, the MPC, that's the Peace Corps is to fill the lapses in our security architecture. And
DBC Jones tweets, he says the president should sign the Peace Corps bill. The order security agencies cannot be everywhere.
Claire Fodule again has this tweet. The mission of all paramilitary agencies is duplicated. This has only created more confusion and an inefficient manner of ensuring law and order. I can't for the life of me understand why we have one uniform every other month. The colors are too many on the road.
And the Peace Corps, this one is from Usman Jibrin, says the Peace Corps and other security agencies might have overlapping responsibility, just as the case with the police and the Civil Defense Corps.
And we have this from Moses Gomerap. It says Peace Corps should be discouraged because if it is approved, the Unity Corps will also ask for approval, the vigilante, and so on. Why not recruit more police and make up for the shortfall? And
following Shogun, we said the Peace Corps says they have categories: the permanent office and volunteer office. Please, who's going to be given the permanent office if not the politicians' children? Besides, the recruitment was not transparent because there was reports of illegal recruitments and bribe.
Agada Money tweets. It says, kudos to Mr. Dixon Akol for its efforts in the establishment of this organization. And we only pray the government sees it as an opportunity to reduce crime while tackling unemployment at the same time. The police are not doing much in the fight against cultism, which the organization does.
And Daniel Anthony tweets, given the nature of the Nigeria to overdo things, I don't see the Peace Corps as necessary. The NSCDC started like that and later found their way as a paramilitary. My take is no.
Awesu Isa, the Corps can stay if they are genuine.
And this one is from The Talk. Amber KB says, so because it's an individual that came up with the Peace Corps, the government should not accept it. Nigeria will never grow.
That's from P. Maxwell. I think the Peace Corps should be considered. There are lots of things they can do for the public which the Nigerian police cannot.
For Lauren Shaw Amosun tweet, he says, how will you know if they have jobs or not? I can tell you that 95% of Peace Corps officers don't have a job, and they are all graduates.
Now Sharon Nabs tweets, it's high time that the youths learned how to give back to society. The Peace Corps is that place. You give back by volunteering. Imagine the good that can be done when all youth put the security of the nation first, not themselves, not their interest, but the nation.
And this one is from Yakubu Dati. He says the commandant said it's got funding from several government and international organizations. Can he list all the donors and amounts he got from them? Nigerians will be interested to also know how much he pays for all the offices, Abuja and the states where they're being funded. He actually answered that question earlier.
That's right. Alhaji Muhammad Siraj says, please let the government come out with conditions for the registration of NGOs to forestall this type of bogey. The Peace Corps should be discarded. So those are the set of tweets that we have. As we said, quite a number of them. We hope we're able to take another set just before we call it today on this discussion. Very quickly, let's go back to Professor Ekelegbe in our Benin Network studios. Professor Ekelegbe, you listen, of course, to the reaction by Mr. Dixon Akol right here with us in the studios, as well as the comments of Emmanuel Ojukwu, retired Commissioner of Police. Is there a sense in which the Peace Corps, can do something about itself, as you were suggesting earlier? Because right now the president has withheld his accent and the ball is back in the court of the National Assembly. Is this something that the National Assembly could say, all right, we're going to re-roll our way and override the president's veto? What would be the consequences if that were to happen?
There's something about democracy which makes it actually beautiful, and that is that the legislature and the executive exist, particularly in the presidential system, with fairly coordinated powers. But are able to interrelate and then mutually restrain themselves. One thing about the legislature is that it is the representative body. It listens to particular constituencies. It represents particular people and gets perspectives that are unique, that are local, and that are people-based. So it has an advantage in terms of closer relationship with the people, and therefore it is able to draw on, perspectives, issues, interests that are unique to the people. But there's also the uniqueness of the president, and that is that he has a national constituency. He has a global perspective. He sees things, the president sees things from a more general and integrating perspective, rather than the more local and particular perspective that the National Assembly can and do bring in. Sometimes these different perspectives can bring conflicts, can bring some differences, but there are ways of reconciling them. In this instance, it is possible that the National Assembly knows more than we know, because they are the representatives of the people. There were public hearings, they interacted with different groups in the process of coming out with this legislation. But we should also understand the position of the president. Given the existing level of funding, given the current structure of the Nigerian security architecture, given its very overlapping and dual nature, given the conflicts that are arising from that process, is there a need for a new organization that has largely security roles, as even articulated by the commandant? What I think is going to happen is that the National Assembly may take a second look at that bill, look at the objections of the president, seek more detailed response from the executive arm, more detailed responses as to what it actually thinks. So there will be more interaction. There should be more interaction actually between the legislature and the executive on this matter, so that the differences can be ironed out, and so that more perspectives, more general perspectives can be brought in. In that way, there may be some tinkering with the existing bill. If that happens, then I mean both the concept of the Peace Corps and maybe the Nigerian peace architecture may be better for it. But in the circumstance that the National Assembly decides to pass that bill with a two-thirds majority, which means that it now overrides the veto of the president, then there are likely to be issues. First, how will the executive implement a bill, a law, in which, to which it has several objections? What will be the commitment? What will be the will? What will be the extent of implementation of that kind of?
All right, thank you very much, Austin Ekelebe. We sincerely apologize. That's the much we can take from you. We're out of time. We're out of time. Sincerely, really out of time. I want to say thank you so much for your thoughts and time this morning on the program. Thank you very much. Professor Austin Ekelebe is a professor of political science of the University of Benin. Very quickly, let's get your thoughts, Emmanuel Ojukwu, retired Commissioner of Police. Very, very briefly, please, how do you think all of this can be resolved?
Yeah, they should go back to the drawing board. The police can welcome the Peace Corps as a non-state actor. They can form part of our informal policing system, give information to the police. There are many NGOs working along that line. They can limit themselves to that. But for somebody to want to get a Nobel Prize for transmitting his NGO to become a state organization, I think Nigeria should say no to that.
All right, Emmanuel Ojukwu, thank you very much. And Dixon Akol, very briefly, if the Peace Corps bill dies in the National Assembly, what next for you?
Well, the Peace Corps of Nigeria still enjoys land perpetual succession. I'm not saying Nigerian Peace Corps, but the Peace Corps of Nigeria enjoys land perpetual succession. This year, we will be celebrating our 27th anniversary. So it's something that I've been enduring. And again, please, Nigeria needs to take a look, not because the organization is wearing uniform that is being equated with security function. So I entirely disagree with that. Security is a matter of collective responsibility.
All right, Dixon Akol, National Commandant.
And to clarify quickly, sir, if I have the time, Peace Corps has never received any grant from any international institution
all right,
to fund these activities.
All right, National Commandant of Peace Corps of Nigeria, that's Dixon Akol. Thanks a lot for being on Good Morning Nigeria today.
Thank you very
we
much.
Also would like to appreciate retired Commissioner of Police, Emmanuel Ojukwu, former Force Public Relations Officer and former Commissioner of Police in Kogi and Enugu States. Thanks a lot for being around.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, let's quickly take a quick look at the weather prospects for the remaining part of the day.
Glad to have you join us on the weather segment from the Nigerian Meteorological Agency. I am Issa Helen Bay. Dust conditions are expected over Maiduguri, Nguru, and Potiskum axis in the next 24 hours. While partly cloudy to cloudy skies are anticipated over the northwest down to the southern cities. Moving into the day, with moisture influx into the country, places around Calabar, Port Harcourt, Oka, Ikom, Ado-Ekiti, and one or two places over the central cities, places like Kaduna, Jalingo, Mambila Plateau, may likely experience localized thunderstorms and possibly some parts of the Federal Capital Territory. Next is temperature forecast. Thank you for watching and bye for now.
And it's a wrap on Good Morning Nigeria today. We'll be back again tomorrow morning at 7. I'm Rhoda Anonim. Thank you for watching.
And I'm Kingsley Osadolo. I join Rhoda in thanking you for being with us today. To enjoy the rest of your day.